Hello, everybody. I'm Sharon Waxman. I'm the CEO and the editor-in-chief of TheWrap. I'm delighted to be here with you for our 2021 Oscar Nominees Showcase in the Best Live and Animated Short Films category. We're going to be showing you a sizzle of the short films that have been nominated for the Academy Award, and then we will go into a conversation with a whole group of nominees. That includes directors Travon and Martin Desmond Rowe for Two Distant Strangers, director Elvira and producer Sofia Sondervan-Bild for The Letter Room, director Tomer Shushan for White Eye, directors Michael Govier and Will McCormack for If Anything Happens, I Love You, and director Madeline Sharafian for Burrow. For our audience out there, please participate in the live chat of the stream. You can comment on anything going on in the conversation. You can also tell us where you're coming from. We'd love to know where everybody's at. So before we bring on our nominees, please let's have a look at all of the films that we're going to be showcasing today in the live action and animated short category.
I met this girl last night, ended up at her place, and you know, keep being a good boy for Papa, okay? I'll be home soon, I promise. Too late to cry.
Oh, come on. You got a problem here.
Get off of me, man! Get off of me! This whole moment just feels like deja vu or something.
Whoa, careful, man. It's a new shirt.
All right, you guys, Hey! Hey!
100 times?
So far, yeah.
What now? You just let them keep killing you forever?
I don't know. One way or another, I'm getting home to my dog.
Too late to cry.
So, Richard, I think we finally found a position for you in human relations like you requested. All correspondence to and from inmates is filtered through you.
Sal, I won't be able to send you money this week. Things are tight. Michael, the packaging code is incorrect. Chris, my love, I think about you every second of every day. I feel like every part of me is coming undone.
I feel your touch in my sleep. You are in my breaths of air. You are all the beams of sunshine that ever touch my skin. I imagine it is your warm hands on my body, stroking me. I feel you grow by the touch of my hands. An ocean is released deep inside of me.
Just checking in?
Yeah, it's really good. It's great. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
Alrighty then.
Adios.
מי זה? סליחה? זה האופניים שלו.
זה האופניים שלך?
כן, זה האופניים שלי.
איפה השגת אותם?
קנית אותם, זה האופניים שלי.
תקשיב. זה האופניים שלי, אתה גנבת לי אותם. תפתח לי אותם עכשיו.
לא גנבתי, מה גנבתי?
תפתח לי אותם או שאני קורא למשטרה. תפתח לי אותם או שאני...
למה המשטרה?
אז תפתח עכשיו.
לא פותח.
מה זה לא פותח?
זה האופניים שלו.
עזוב אותי, הוא גנב לי אותם. סגן פה מישהו? לא. זה? לא. זה? כן.
And welcome back. It's my pleasure to introduce today directors Travon and Desmond Rowe of Two Distant Strangers, director Elvira Lind, and producer Sofia Sondervan-Bild for The Letter Room, director Tomer Shushan for White Eye, directors Michael Govier and Will McCormack for If Anything Happens, I Love You, and director Madeline Sharafian for Burrow. Welcome to all of you, and huge congratulations on your nominations.
Thanks. Yeah.
Before we get going, and I don't want to get feel at home, feel relaxed. So normally we like to do this in person, but through the miracle of technology, we are bringing everyone together. Although I think we're all just in LA and New York, not like some of our panels, which are like Chile and South Africa and Romania. But nonetheless, we're so thrilled to have everybody here. Let me just take a minute and just give a little background for our viewers on who each of you are, and then we'll jump on in and talk about the films. So to begin, Travon Free is a two-time Emmy-winning and Peabody-winning television writer, actor, director, and comedian from Compton, California. He's been a writer and producer for many shows, including Adam McKay's upcoming Lakers drama, Showtime on HBO, Black Monday with John Cheadle on Showtime, Lena Dunham's Camping on HBO, and he was the co-head writer for Full Frontal with Samantha Bee on TBS. Martin Desmond Rowe is best known for writing the Oscar-nominated short Buzkashi Boys. Sure, I said that wrong. Executive producing.
Got it.
Thank you. Thanks for the support. The Emmy Award-winning Tom vs. Time, and for directing the Cannes Gold Lions winner Breaking 2. He is the founder of the production company Dirty Robber. Welcome. Elvira Lind's feature documentary, Bobby Janae, premiered at the Tribeca Film Festival in 2017. It won all the awards in its category, and she currently lives and works out of New York, writing and developing fiction and documentary projects. The Letter Room is her fiction debut. Sofia Sondervan-Bild is a New York-based award-winning film and television producer. She teaches producing at NYU's Tisch School of the Arts. Before that, she headed up Sony Music Film, a division of Sony Music, which she founded in 2005. While at Sony, she produced Cadillac Records, released by Sony Pictures, starring Adrian Brody, Jeffrey Wright, and Beyonce Knowles. Welcome. Tomer Shushan is a writer and film director from Israel, a graduate from the film department of the Minshar School of Art in Tel Aviv. His graduation short film, Inside Shells in 2017, screened throughout the world. White Eye, his award-winning first independent short film, has participated in more than 100 film festivals, including TheWrap's own Shortlist Film Festival this past summer. Welcome. Michael Govier is an actor and writer known for If Anything Happens, I Love You, his nominated short, and Animation in 2021, and Space for Rent in 2016. Will McCormack is co-nominee as an actor and producer known for Celeste and Jesse Forever, If Anything Happens, I Love You, the nomination of today, and American Outlaws. And finally, but not least, Madeline Sharafian is best known for her work on Coco in 2017, We Bear Bears in 2014, and her nominated film this year of Burrow. So welcome to all of you extremely accomplished directors. Your films, which we've just seen a sizzle of, deal with all kinds of issues that are impacting our society. And I happen to really love short films. That's why we started our Shortlist Film Festival. Some of the most potent ideas, I think, that are telling the stories of our society start as shorts or end their life as shorts and have increasing amount of impact. The films of today are talking about issues of racism, issues of incarceration, issues of school shootings, and issues of immigration. And Madeline's film doesn't fall into any of those categories. It's a great big burst of joy, which we'll talk about in a while, which we could use more of. Let me start with Elvira and Sofia. Your film, The Letter Room, which stars Oscar Isaac as a prison guard who starts reading the correspondence of one of the inmates on death row, is very, very moving. Oscar gives a beautiful performance. Can't believe it's a short. It feels like I watched the whole film. And tell us, what's the genesis of the film? Where did it begin?
It began in my head quite a while ago. I'd heard a podcast about these men that were all writing letters with a woman, love letters, and then they all found out that this woman was actually a man who was like scamming them of money, and they were him. But they all expressed that they really missed the letters in their lives. So it was kind of coming from that, and then I really wanted to make a film that criticizes the prison system here, and I found that, focusing on one thing within that system could be a really good way of telling a story about a bigger problem. So I think taking away people's privacy and robbing them of the privacy with their letters and being in contact with their family and their loved ones was a really good way of, pointing to a bigger issue. So it kind of started there, and then it's became all kinds of different things when I started writing.
Yeah, Oscar Isaac plays a very unusual character. He's kind of an empathetic prison guard, which is not something that you normally see, especially when you're talking about, sort of underlying it is this much bigger conversation we're having in society about mass incarceration and in unjust incarceration and the racial imbalance in incarceration. And here's this kind of nice guy.
Almost. Well,
he's not the hardened guy who I'm seeing on all of the videos of the real life videos, going on. But so what was your thought behind that?
I thought it was interesting, someone that was sort of stuck in a gray zone, like trying to do something good for other people, but also, is it also because he needs to feel better and feel like he has a purpose in life? And when being in that gray area, like trying for us to watch and not figure out when are we doing something good, or when are we doing something because we need to feel better about ourselves. So I quite like to play on that, and so it came from that, I think.
That's a great gray zone to be playing in, for sure. Sofia, how did you get involved in this film?
So
Elvira and I have been friends for a long time, and of course, I'm in the fiction world, and she was in the documentary world. But I really wanted her to do fiction for a long time, but she was, of course, very busy with her documentaries. So when she was pregnant with her second child, I saw an opportunity to sweep in there, and
to take on a narrative film, of course.
Well, to do a short, because she had a very
short. I get it.
amount of time. So I said, why don't we just do a short, see if this is something you like doing, and then, let's take it from there. So I think that the fact that it could be done in a short amount of time, just before she literally gave birth, the couple days after she left the edit room. I think that
wow.
was the convincing factor.
Thank you to the baby for waiting.
Yes,
very much.
Yes,
that's very cool. And I know it's streaming on Topic. A lot of the films. I know that Travon and Martin, your film got acquired in the time that we talked to you last time. When you were just a contender. In the meantime, you got acquired by Netflix. So I'm just going to say we liked you before it was cool. Right? So, but your film also deals with issues of social justice underlying the film. It's this really, it's kind of a comedy. It's like what can we call it? A dark comedy. It's
sure
nightmare comedy of this guy who wakes up every day and lives this Groundhog's Day. Meets Black Lives Matter sort of encounter where he ends up shot by a white guy. He's a black guy, and why is this happening to him over and over and over? Do you guys collaborate on how did it start, and how do the two of you work together? Because I hadn't met Martin before today.
It started with last summer. We as a world, the country was going through a particular time with the protests and everything that was happening, and all around the globe, protests were popping up all over the place. And I myself, having had several experiences with police that were grounded in absolutely nothing but an exercise in power, felt what I was seeing. It was the first time it felt like there might have been some type of breakthrough. And so, when I was processing the emotions of, what happened to George and what happened to Breonna Taylor and what happened to Ahmaud Arbery. And, as a Black person in America, you go through this cycle of emotions every time you hear one of these stories. And, you're angry and you're sad and you feel hopeless for a period of time. And then you hopefully cycle back to where you feel hopeful enough to try to get back out in the world and do something about it. And so in internalizing that last summer, the idea kind of occurred to me that going through these emotions are so physically traumatic, and it feels like the worst version of Groundhog's Day. It feels like a terrible that you relive over and over and over again. And so when I had that initial seed, I told Martin I had this idea for this short, and because I felt like I wanted to do something with it artistically, and it needed to happen fast. And I knew he had experience with shorts with his last short, and we just kind of he took to the. He can tell you how he felt when I told him, and we just kind of went off to the races with it.
Yeah, he came to me, he pitched me the idea, which was genius from the moment I heard it, because I was like, oh, you see so many Groundhog Day films. There's so many this year, but they're always about love or fun. They're always generally, this one had a metaphor. They turned that Groundhog Day thing into. It gave it meaning, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And then Travon was like, "Great, can we make it this? Can we make it right?" I was like, "It's a pandemic, dude.
Can we make it next week?"
What are you talking about?
Well, 1 second. You sound like you're British. How do you guys know each other? Because British people aren't supposed to know American people, Sharon. How is that?
We met through. We were working on a different film, feature film idea that we met on. We've been working for a couple of years, so. But also, I've lived in LA longer than most people have. When I meet them.
Well, you haven't lost your accent, man. But okay.
I'm not going to. I'm really holding on as tight as I can. Okay. Before we move on from this, I will say that our cop was nowhere near as nice as your cop. Maybe your cop, Elvira and Sofia, wasn't nice entirely. He's a lot nicer than our one.
Oh, your cop, the cop. Yes, exactly. No, your cop is not nice at all. At all. Yeah.
A lot more rain.
Yeah. Well, I would say that their cop requires more imagination unfortunately, than you're a cop. But there are many good cops out there. We should stipulate many, and the few bad ones make all the rest of them, make all cops look bad, unfortunately. Okay, so I wanted to go to Tomer, whose film Wide Eye takes place in Tel Aviv. Feels like it might be taking place, I guess, because I lived in New York in the 1980s, but it has the feel of like a city, the underbelly of the city, and what happens in the off hours in the underbelly of a city. And Tel Aviv is a big, bustling, cosmopolitan city. And you find your main character caught in a kind of moral dilemma of having found his stolen bike, but realizing that he's going to put the life of an illegal immigrant in danger, or probably turn his life upside down by getting a bike back. So this started, Tomer, and I want to tell our viewers that we were so happy to feature your film this summer. It felt very relevant at that time. It still feels very relevant now, even though it happened in a completely foreign country. But this started with an incident that happened to you, right?
Yeah. So about 3 years ago, I was on the way to meet my script mentor to finalize the script that we were working on, because on that night we needed to send it to the Film Foundation in Israel to get support. And on the way to meet her, this story actually happened to me. And in real life, it actually ended up a bit better. But
that your bike was stolen, or that you found your stolen bike, right?
Yeah, and also I found out that illegal immigrant have them right now. So this situation, this story really affected me, mostly as a person, because I felt that all my values just going to trash in a second, and some anger working out of me, and I couldn't control it. And I mean, after that situation, I felt so horrible, and the story really changed me as a human being. And after it happened, I went to meet my mentor, and I told her why I was late, and she heard the story, and she told me, you have to write it, you have like a few hours. And I just wrote it on the same day. It happened like even less than an hour. It was like when you wake up from a nightmare and you write it so you won't forget all the details. And that's what happened. And we sent it on the same night, and that's how the story of the film born.
Well, when you wrote it down, I mean, can I ask, what are you saying, that the person who had stolen your bike in real life didn't have a bad outcome, whereas in your film he does?
Yeah, I mean, the police, I could, in real life, I made the police go away, and I just like convinced them that we're going to solve it between ourselves. But this guy couldn't understand the language, and he felt like his life going to end, because when they deport them, they coming back to their country where they wanted, and most of the time it ended up with a death sentence. So in real life I could manage to save it, but this guy felt so horrible, and such a big humiliation, and mostly a fear. And to see this fear on his eyes, to know that I caused it, made me feel so horrible. And as I said, it really, I'm really happy that in real life it ended up better, but this story really affected me. And I thought the way that I can deal with it is to make a film about it and maybe change something when other people see it. And yeah.
How has the film been received in Israel? And is there a big issue? I'm sure you know there's a big issue of illegal immigration in this country, and it's being called a crisis at the border right now. We have all these young teenagers from Central America fleeing their countries. I don't, what is the situation in Israel? Is it like a big crisis thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big thing, and these people are are like see-through people, you know. No one cares about them.
Like invisible.
Yeah, no one can see them, and the only people that can see them is the authorities, and just like to catch them. And I felt it's really describing the reality in Israel, in Tel Aviv, in the big city, when they are all struggle to just bring money to their families, and they sacrifice so much. And after I made this film, I thought it's gonna everyone in Israel gonna feel connected to this story, but I realized that it's a really like an international issue, by the way that other countries and other people from all over accept the film, and I'm really happy that I could touch lots of hearts and maybe to change something. Even small.
One of the things I really like about the film, and I've seen it a few times at this point, is how it just goes step by step. You don't realize that you're on a journey of moral decisions. It's just a guy who finds his bike, who's like, oh shit, my bike. And, you know, it's just one step after another. It's like, there's like, it's very, it's like shorn of, there's not a lot of things happening. It's very simple, you know, step by step. And then when you know, are a certain distance into the film, you realize, the complexities. And what you just said about the impact of your seeing the fear in this young illegal immigrant, this man's face, that now when you say that, it kind of resonates through the story, and the kind of almost dispassionate telling of this very kind of prosaic set of events that leads to potentially a life and death moment for somebody else, you know. So bravo to you for taking us on that journey. Let me turn to Will and Michael. Let's talk about If Anything Happens, I Love You. I don't know how often an animated film has made me cry, but yours did. It's astonishing what a pen and ink, you know, can evoke. And I think you use music so beautifully in the film. But essentially, it's a story of a family missing their child, and I hope it's okay to share that we learn in the telling of the film that it's about a school shooting, and that child has been plucked from the bosom of her parents because of that. How did you come to tell this story and in this way?
Well, thank you so much. It's great to be here with all the nominees, and this is exciting for us. I first and foremost, I met Michael, and true to form as Los Angelinos, we met in an acting class in the Valley, and we discovered that we were both writers. And,
yeah.
We would meet for avocado sandwiches in Griffith Park.
Okay, you're falling into cliche here, man. Come on, pull it back.
And we would talk about what we wanted to wrestle with in story. I think I've always been interested in writing about loss and about grief. My favorite movie when I was little was Ordinary People. I'm always sort of fascinated with by how people endure and face and sometimes prevail from loss. And I think we both wanted to write about grief and about loss. Michael pitched me this beautiful image of these shadow souls that were disconnected from their human hosts because there was so much agony. Mm-hmm. They couldn't reach one another. Mm-hmm. And it felt like a really beautiful, Jungian, simple, poetic, gorgeous distillation of what loss felt like. And I felt like I could see a whole movie in one image. I'll never forget it. I got goosebumps. I was like, wow, that's beautiful. You know, I think as Americans, you know, we read and see and hear and feel about the recursive, seemingly never-ending gun violence that happens. I'm a pretty right-brained person. I sort of experience the world through, you know, music and art and painting and film, and this was sort of our artistic rant on something that we wanted to wrestle with in story, and animation felt like the perfect vehicle for it, even though we were told that it wasn't. It was for us. Okay, so you didn't draw the film yourselves? I don't draw. I've done everything on movies. I've done craft service, transpo,
okay,
writing, producing, directing, acting. wardrobe, but no, we don't draw. We have an animation director, Young Ren No, who is a genius. But we spent a year on the script, and we did know what we wanted to see up on screen. But we have a very talented all-female animation team that is we're already working with again on another short film.
That's amazing.
I
Michael,
think it's
go
like
ahead.
a lot of the roads, I think lead to different places. Like some people break a story by images and some people break a story by script. And so we started with the words, and that's how we got to our story. And that's why it took so long to write the script, because we had to write out all the transitions as opposed to maybe you find the transitions in boards. So we found them all on the page. So it's still the exact same amount of work. It's just kind of like, do you come in, do you go, left or do you go right? But you're going to go around that mountain. And that's kind of how we got there. But yeah, we were blessed to find.
You never considered not doing this as animation, since neither of you are animators?
No, because that's just the vehicle. That's the vehicle how you do it. And it doesn't matter whether or not, where it needs to be. And the story will find the medium it needs. And the story needed to be an animation. And this was the only way to tell the story and the only way for it to impact and really pull people in, because this would be way too intense if this was a live action short, because you would miss the point. You wouldn't be pulled into the story. This little girl dies, she gets murdered, but you feel all of those 10 years she was alive. And that's what you're really getting. You're getting the life she lived rather than focusing on this tragic end. And I think a lot of times the trap is people focus on the tragic end rather than the wonderful time we had with the people that were still here.
That's so beautifully put. So then how did you find the exact style of drawing that would convey, since you had such a clear vision of what the story was and what you were trying to accomplish?
We reached out to this Professor Meyer Burnett at Cal Arts, and she was Madeline, right? You're Cal Arts, no? Or
yeah.
No? Yeah. So we reached out to Meyer Burnett at Cal Arts, and we said, hey, do you have any, animation people that are just graduating? Because we want to provide opportunity for new people coming up, just like us. Will and I are getting this wonderful opportunity to do this, and so we wanted to provide opportunity for the rest of the team. And so we provided, this was Young Ren No's first time she ever got to be an animation director. Normally you might have to wait like 5 or 10 years, but she got it right out of college. And then the two other animators, their first job out of college is our film. And so it's like they got this wonderful opportunity too. And all these wonderful women got this. And that's how we found them. And we were able to, Young Ren and all of us kind of helped to find the distinct style.
But we knew we always wanted total minimalism and parsimony stylistically. We thought that we could do more with less. We wanted the movie to feel sort of barren and desolate, like grief can feel. That type of loss is very acute. So we wanted to hang a lantern on the emotionality and just keep it super, super lean and simple, just to excavate the essential, raw, sort of unvarnished emotion of scenes. Moreover, it ended up working in the memoryscape of the movie, because I think implicit memory works that way. When you remember the past, you don't remember what was in the room per se, but you do remember how you felt. So once we committed to that style, which was pretty daunting because it's a movie without, any dialogue, and it's very, very lean. It was scary, but also very rewarding.
Yeah. As I say, as a viewer, it just is stunning. At a certain point, you're like, I can't believe how much emotion's coming out of it. It's pen and ink, but obviously it's all these other things, your hard work and thinking it through and every beat. So Madeline, you are a drawing animator as well as a storyteller. So Burrow is just a completely joyous, wonderful counterpoint, I'd say, to some of the other, more serious storytelling.
I'm a little mortified right now.
Well, I don't think you should be at all. I mean, if the Academy nominated you, there's a very good reason, and it's a joyful story of a rabbit burrowing underground, but which sounds simple, and I don't want to overcomplicate it. Something that may not be more complicated. But tell us the origin of the story and why you made up the story and told it in this way.
Yeah, I made the story about my experiences joining Pixar, just because, it's a really, high intensity place. Everybody's really intelligent and talented here. And when I first started, I was really young.
Because now you're really old.
Well, you know, I was like 22, and I found myself, instead of like just turning to my coworkers, like my fellow story artists, for assistance when I like, you know, didn't know how to storyboard a really complicated camera move. Like I could have just turned to the side and asked my friend sitting next to me, like, how do I do this? I would instead, I would like work late nights. I would work weekends. I refused to let anybody know that I had no idea what I was doing. And that kind of works for a little bit. Like that did work for a couple years. It looked like every time I pitched a sequence that I was like, you know, a genius, golden child, look at you, you figured it out. But when I reached a certain point, it was like health-wise and mental health-wise, all of these things start to fall apart and crumble. And you reach a point where you, I guess the resilience that you thought you had, that you thought you made for yourself by going it alone, it just ceases to exist and it ceases to help you anymore. And you kind of reach the point where you're finally forced to do what everyone's been telling you to do from the beginning, which is just ask people for help. Let people know when you're in trouble. That's, you know, it seems simple, but it took me
so that
quite a while.
That is the story of the film. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if that was aimed at animals. I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I also like animals.
Little furry underground animals burrowing into one another. Well, what made you decide to tell it? Like, how did the muse descend? And you're like, okay, it's got to be a bunny, and he's got to be digging underground.
Well, I've always sort of had that visual metaphor tucked in the back of my head, like Michael mentioned. I went to CalArts, and at CalArts you're required to make a student film every year, sort of all by yourself. So I had already made 3 films, just hand animated alone. And I left after my 3rd year to go work at Cartoon Network on We Bare Bears. And there was always that like ghost of a 4th film that I never made. So I can look back in my sketchbooks to like 2014 and there's like a little rabbit in a burrow. And when I got the opportunity, the Spark Shorts program is kind of still like a little Wild Westy at Pixar. So you never quite know how to get that opportunity. So when Lindsay Collins was like the executive sort of in charge of the program, she like cracked open the door a little bit and was like, would you ever want to make a short? And I was like, yes. And I like threw my whole body through the door. Like I refused. I was like, no, it's going to be me. Like I need to make another short film. I demand it. And I pitched her. I like pulled that idea out of my back pocket because I was like, I need something quickly or the opportunity might disappear. So I pitched her sort of the concept like that very next week, basically like trying to secure my spot, like don't give it away. And thankfully it worked. It was good to have a back pocket sort of visual metaphor that I had already been poking around for a couple of years.
And did you draw on like your friends at Pixar to do this, or do you more or less do this on your own? Or
yeah, the Spark Shorts program is like, it's like mini studio within the big Pixar studio. So you have like the gigantic features, like gigantic ships sort of passing on either side of you. And the Spark Shorts are like a tiny, tiny little boat. We have 6 months to do it. And you can you just have to grab anybody you can get your hands on. And at any moment, someone could be taken away and put on like, you know, a very important big ship off to the side of you. So it was a team that grew and shrank, and
it sounds like its own animated film right now that you're describing.
It
but
was
that could perhaps be a sequel.
Somehow a whimsical experience just to make it. Yeah, so it was constantly in flux. But what was great and what was really fun was that it being 2D actually drew a lot of extra attention because the animators at Pixar are so talented. They work in 3D, like best of the business. But everybody kind of has that extra itch, that little part of you that misses 2D film. So we initially had like 8 animators, and then all of a sudden people just came crawling out of the woodwork, like, give me a shot, please. I just want to do anything. I'll do a water drip, anything. Like people just wanted to be a part of the 2D experience, which was like so awesome for us.
Okay, somebody needs to write a book about this, because like you're just describing this entire universe at Pixar that makes you want to go be a fly on the wall inside that building, which I'd want to do anyway. But and also inside the brains of all the animators, so that's a different story. Okay, so first of all, everybody should feel free to just to jump on in if you want to. But I did want to ask. It sounded like Travon and Martin's film was done during the pandemic. Will and Michael's film maybe also. I don't know about the other ones, but what were some of the things you were up against making your films, whether it was during the pandemic or not during the pandemic? And just jump in as you should, as is your wont.
I mean, when we started, there were no permits even being issued.
Travon, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Travon. Yeah.
I mean, when we started, there were no permits even being issued to film, so we had no idea we would even be able to make the movie. We were just proceeding as if like some magical door would open and that they would let us make the movie. Because it was the only way to actually, if the door opened, to actually meet the opportunity. So we just, did everything we could to be prepared for the potential that in September of last year, SAG would start issuing permits again. And luckily for us, I think 3 weeks into the month, right before we shot our film the last week of September of last summer, and we got our permits the week before, 2 days before. Oh, and so literally down to the wire, we were like every day, like sleeping and shaking, like we can only make this movie next week, and if we don't get the permits, there's no movie.
So, we got the phone, like Joey wants to do it. He's totally down to do it. He's available for this week. And we're like, we don't know if we're allowed to film that week. And
oh my God.
But like, you have to have all this stuff, and then I don't know who else. Did anybody else shoot during the pandemic? Because it was right at the beginning. We're like, well, we want to make it, but we also, nobody can get sick. We can't. Yeah. This is a movie. No one can get ill. And obviously there's a run and gun thing about shorts. It's so passionately part of the fun, right? You're not making a big thing with all the oversight and responsibility. It is a little pirate shipy. But that was all removed for us, and it was removed because we couldn't do it like that. And then we got the bill. We got the bill for what the oh wow, our budget just increased by the budget.
Yeah. Oh my God. Because of the COVID restrictions, because of stuff you had to do. Yeah.
I just joked a couple of times before, but it's true. I think the best documentary short film for next year, if we'd have shot it, would have just been our lead actor Joey in terror every day as the nurse went deeper and deeper and deeper. I've never seen a man in so many emotions in such a short period of time. It would be a hit.
He hated it so much.
Oh God,
he hated it so much.
Yeah, every day was like, can we film because of COVID, and can we film because Joey will actually take his test?
Okay, so it didn't bother him getting shot every day.
Yeah, we had to do it every day.
Every day, yeah. But I'm saying, what happens to his character every day, that was not the problem.
Yeah, yeah, he was okay with that.
We gave him something to come on. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, Elvira and Sofia, when did you make The Letter Room?
We shot it the September before you guys shot, I guess, because it was
in the summer of 2019.
Yeah, and
I
I did it in September, and then I gave it. Yeah, so it was. And we thought we were battling with, it was like a heat wave. I was pregnant, but didn't know that it was going to be a lot harder to make film. Yeah, we didn't have to do any of the.
We shot in a live jail, so we did have, we had things like, what day can we use certain areas because prisoners won't be there, or can you work in the time that they're not in a certain courtyard? So we had those kind of scheduling. Our star was in Europe and had 1 week, of Elvira's kind of time. So we had those kind of time things.
Yeah.
But we didn't know what you'd have to
do. Doesn't Oscar Isaac make Star Wars movies? I mean,
he was making Dune, and I want him to be kind of chubby and Richard's supposed to be battling with his weight and he's counting his calories. And he was just doing action movie, being slimmer and slimmer. And I was getting fatter and fatter. And I was just like, Mama, bring it on. We got to stop this. We got to go back and do this short film. It's way more important than Dune. Come on. What is this? And by the end, when we finally got to shoot, I was just so pregnant. And he was just so slim. So he had to wear a little bit of a fat suit. And I was just
we did?
around with my giant body. So it was,
And Alia had she had a fake belly. So
she had a fake belly. Okay.
Yeah. It was,
she's really terrific in the film. She's terrific.
Yeah.
So So good. Tomer, what were some of the challenges that you had to deal with in making Wide Eye?
First, when I got the opportunity to make the film, when I got the support of the Israeli Film Foundation, I wanted to make it as a one shot in one take. And lots of people around me told me that I should back off this idea because it's like my first chance and I can ruin it with something so ambitious. So I listened to these people. I listened also to my fears, and I made this film in a different shooting plan with lots of cuts. And after one shooting day, I went at the end of the day to the edit room, and with the editor, we watched a few versions of what can we make, and it felt terrible. It was the first time that I got like a nervous breakdown, and I told everyone, let's stop this and let's rearrange. And I'm not listening to anyone. I just listen to my heart, and I want to make it as one shot. So after 7 months, we prepared to make it as a one shot with new people that really believe that it can happen. And we made it. We only had money for one night to shoot it because we spent most of it on the first chance. And that's when we went to this night. It was in January 2019. And we started to shoot in 4 p.m. And until 1 a.m. we didn't have nothing. And that's when the magic happened. And also lots of luck that we had one full take, and then we just got to this rhythm. And at the end, we had like 6 full takes. And I think it was very, we had lots of luck. And the main thing that after we had it, the COVID started when we got the first world premiere in South by Southwest. And that's when everything went online. And I thought, oh my God, we made all this effort and no one can see it right now. And the main goal was that this story will get to much more, to many hearts and souls and eyes. And I couldn't believe that going online will make people watch it. But at the end, lots of people watch it, and I'm super happy about it. And that's the main goal. And
can it be seen now? Is it on a platform that's available to people? I mean, people who RSVP'd for this will have gotten a link to it, but beyond that,
not yet. We're in like few negotiations.
Negotiations. I see. Okay. Well,
but yeah, soon, I guess.
Soon, I guess. Yeah. Well, it's definitely worth seeing. That's incredible. So you basically pulled the project and said, I'm not going to do it this way. I have to do it the other way. Yeah. That's a pretty scary thing to do, I would think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What take did you use?
The one before the last one.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, we already felt it when it ended. This is the one. And everyone just wanted to go home. Everyone came to me and told me, okay, this is it, right? And I'm like, I don't know. I have to have another one, so I'll have in case. And that's when the take started in the night, the last one, and ended up in the morning with daylight. But it was not good. So yeah.
That's really so inspiring, man. Well done.
Absolutely. Michael, Will, how about you guys? What particular challenges? And you guys did do yours during the pandemic.
We did not do it during we had just finished it, and we had released it, and it had come out, and we were in our first film festival at the very top of March, and Will and I went to Omaha, and then we flew home, and then the whole world locked down. So it was this very strange experience of like, cool, we're going to have a great summer of festivals, and we did end up in them, but they were all virtual. But it was a much different experience than we expected. But one of our biggest challenges from the beginning, after we had the script in hand, was bringing it around to pitching at studios and any place. Everyone just said the script is too sad. They're just like, it's too sad, it's too much, and they said no. And we didn't take that no. We just kind of said, nope, we want to tell the story. We think it has value. We want this the people to see it. And so we just kept going and laying track, and then we started to, build it out ourselves because we refused to stop. But that was a big hurdle, is like hearing a lot of no's. And, and I think this is it's not new in animation, but it's like, it's not as prevalent. I think a lot of times animation is put into the kind of like a kid's lane. And,
of course.
And I think animation can do everything, just like any medium, you can do everything. And we're happy to add our little brick to what animation is capable of.
Yeah, and it's like if you think an animated film about losing a child in a school shooting is sad, try having it happen in real life, as it happens over and over and over, and therefore we shouldn't examine that in our art. That seems so crazy to me.
We've had so many survivors reach out to us who've had that experience, and we spoke just the other day with Nicole Hockley, who she founded Sandy Hook Promise, and her little 6-year-old Daniel was murdered. And she said to us, she said, I am the woman in the laundry room scene. She's like, that's me. And she said that she was very grateful and appreciative that it exists so people could see the experience that she is going through.
Wow. I'm sure there's so many families that are grateful to see a reflection of their own grief. I think about it every time there's another school shooting, and I get, or any mass shooting, and I think I'm outraged, like so many of us are outraged. And I'm constantly thinking about, like, not just the victims, but all of the ripple effects and the families that are shattered one after the other, and that we don't, we all just pray this plague doesn't befall us, but we all know that it's a total random stroke of luck or bad luck, good luck or bad luck,
No, I mean, our hearts are always with, it's just like these people that you just went to work, you just went to the grocery store, and then they didn't come home. Their family members, everyone here, we all love our family. We want to come home to our family. And I think that's a starting point for discussion where we can all agree on. We all want to see each other. And I think this can lead to some wonderful discussions about what's happening in the world.
Yeah, it can.
I think that's why I connected to your movie so much, because, that's kind of basically the theme of our movie, which is, it's wanting to get home to your family or to your pet, and that's what Joey does in our movie. He just wants to go home with his dog and he can't get there. And it's, for you guys, you're talking about how it happens when you encounter random acts of violence from other citizens. And, for us, it's violence by the state. It's violence at the hands of the police. And it's a phenomenon that's so unique to our country, and the way that it happens and how often it happens. And I'm grateful that your movie exists and our movie exists and Elvira's movie exists, because, we get to tell these stories about authority and violence in this country in a creative way that does create new conversations. So I think that's really important.
Absolutely. I think that's something that I want to just emphasize to all of you, or each of you, that you have so much to be proud of in what you've accomplished, and that the stories that you tell in these films have a real impact on the world, and they do change our society. They reflect the changes that's going on in our society, and they have an impact on our society. And I've been doing this long enough and been honored enough to meet the people who are creating the greatest stories in any given moment in our time, because we host these conversations every year, and you can see over time how it has an impact. So I'm glad that we all got to get you all together so you could appreciate one another and the great work and the great thought, the great feeling that has gone into each of your pieces of work. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your films, and really great congratulations to each of you on your nominations. Thank you all for joining us today. It was great to have you here with us for our Oscar nominee showcase. You can check out all of our wrap screenings and other Oscar nominee showcases that we're streaming these days on either by signing up for TheWrap Pro, our membership our membership service, or you can look at the screenings that we've done by going to our homepage, TheWrap.com, and click on screenings in the nav bar. Thank you all.